Hello and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name's Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Cody Burch. And Cody, I've met a couple of times at Nick Kusmich events, and he's what you would call an expert funnel builder. And he has a really great process that I love the name of called the 1 hour funnel. And we had a really great conversation about this philosophy of making things as convenient as possible for people. I just love the name 1 hour funnel in that it promises a big benefit and you know exactly what you're going to get at the end of it. Now, as we talked, we were going into how he does that right now, how he uses webinars as a way to get in front of people in his funnel process for the 1 hour funnel. And we talked about the idea of using a book and using a way of turning people from invisible prospects into visible prospects as a multiplier for it, and always driving towards doing something for people as opposed to showing people how to do something. We had a really great conversation. This went so fast, and we really got into the depth and psychology of what's going on in the mind of people with the different approaches to generating leads that we talk about. So enjoy this episode.
Cody Burch,
Hey, Jackson.
how are you,
Good morning.
sir?
Doing fantastic. How are you today?
I am great. It's allergy season right here in Florida, so hopefully my voice will hold up. But where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay, good. Oh, it's early for you. I'm excited today. This is like one of my favorite days. I always look at these. I never know what we're going to get, but it's always fun to hatch some evil schemes. So, what's the Cody Burch story, and what kind of schemes are we going to hatch today?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this as well. This is going to be great. Let me bring you up to speed on where I'm at and kind of how we arrived on this conversation today. A few years ago, my background is in the speaking industry. I used to work for a company that helped speakers, which makes sense with the direction I'm heading. And I did a lot of the marketing for them, email marketing, landing pages, marketing funnels, sales funnels, technology, those types of things. And as part of that company, as that company grew, I started to do some consulting and coaching. And so we'd bring people in, high-level people that I really admired, and we would hatch our own evil schemes with them and say, now go implement this thing. And they would look at me like a deer in headlights and say, I don't know how to implement this, or I don't have the on the team. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. These people, I wonder, just like I'm serving this company that I was working for, I wonder if I could serve other people like this that would need help with this type of stuff. So that was my thesis, 2016. And so I jumped from that company and started my own marketing agency, helping people do what I did for that other company, doing email marketing, marketing funnels, Facebook ads, those types of things. And so that started January of last year, 2017. And it was great. My thesis proved correct, and I was able to help a lot of people and start my marketing agency on that side. And it was really awesome. So what that did was marketing funnels and Facebook ads was the primary offers that I made for people. And throughout that, really, kind of codified a way that I was doing things on the funnel side and the ad side, and was able to, where I'm doing now is taking the way that I was doing funnels and making a productized service. And that's what I wanted to chat with you about today, is kind of where I'm at with this new thing that I've made. And then a little bit more background about that is there was a friend of mine, entrepreneur. She had fired her marketing agency and she did her own funnel. And we were just having a conversation. I said, yeah, what was that process like for you? She's like, well, it's awful. It took forever. It took 30 hours to make this thing. I thought, well, that's not how that should go. The actual doing of the thing shouldn't take that long. In fact, I've got a process that I use, and here's how I do it. I do this and then this and then this, and it's great. So, that's really amazing. You should share that with more people. And I hired a contractor to help me fulfill some of the funnel stuff. And I said, hey, welcome to the agency. Here's how we do funnels, and here's the playbook. He's like, this is really easy. And I was like, well, yeah, that's the whole point. Like, I wanted to make the the funnel stuff as easy as possible so we could predictably put people in and it's got a predictable result on the back end. And then I started to catch the wheels here, like this could maybe help even more people. And started as a beta group in February. What I mean by that is what that meant to me is I put a post out on Facebook, said, hey, I'm doing this thing, brainstorming how I can help entrepreneurs build marketing funnels with my process. A lot of you are aware of what I do. So anybody want in, I thought I'd get about 20 people, and over 40 signed up for the beta group, which was cool, but only about 20 were engaged. And of the 20, like 12 were hyper engaged, which allowed me to really flesh out how I could teach and what the framework was and what the process was. And and that thing is called the 1 hour funnel.
I like
the process is called. Yeah, thank you. And so did the beta group in February, filmed it in March, put it all online in April. And then in May kind of came and went, and now you and I are having a conversation today about it. So that's my background and my digital marketing expertise of what I have been focusing on now, trying to take this new thing called the 1 hour funnel to serve a lot of people.
I love it. So that that whole thing is really about you taking the process that I kind of take of taking something that's very complex and breaking it down to make it as easy as possible on the person who's going to actually be using it. Like that's like similar process to our 90-minute book. And when you put the number on how long something actually takes, you like it says so much even in the thing, right? Like 1 hour funnel, it just says so much. Tells me it's going to take an hour and you're going to get a funnel. And that's just like, okay, that's what I'm looking for. And I'll give you an hour to do that. So very cool. I liked that. I didn't, what was kind of interesting was as you're describing how you set up that beta group, it sounded, just like a 9-word email type of thing just to your list. Hey, I'm doing this. Would you like to join us? And that's a pretty cool way to get things rolling,
Yeah, I love. I've actually met you a couple times out at Nick Kusmich's workshops, and
okay. Now I put a face to who you are. Now I know exactly who you are. Right. Okay, yeah, great. There we go.
So I've got my super signature in full effect in my email signature, and I haven't sent many 9-word emails, but love the methodology of that kind of conversation. Hey, I'm getting together with entrepreneurs and brainstorm how we can build funnels faster. Anybody want in on that? And that's kind of how I launched the beta group, heavily influenced by that conversational approach.
I love it. Cool. Okay, so what's the where are we at now then? What do you what do you see as what's working and what's the big opportunity?
So I tried I did a half-hearted launch in April via a webinar to cold traffic. Now, running an agency hasn't lent itself to me getting a big list. I just have, kind of a high touch, higher ticket, 5 to 6 clients a month workload. So I thought, well, I don't have a list. I think I made this thing. I think it's for people who like to build funnels. And so I did a webinar that was about, I called it the fast funnel framework. Like, hey, if you're wanting to do this thing, I'm going to show you how to do it better and faster, more predictably, and show you the 3 secrets to doing this. And did that webinar, and it was tough. I got expensive registrations. And then the show up rate was normal. And at the time I wanted to just sell a course. Like, well, I'll just sell this as a course for, $500, or I forget what the price point was, $300, just to kind of prove that people would give me money for it. And that didn't work. I mean, so the registrations were expensive and nobody bought it. So I paused for a minute and thought, okay, well, maybe I should have a list and maybe get really clear on who this thing is for. So the nefarious plan that I hatched was in May. I went live on Facebook, which is brand new for me. I went to my first ever Facebook Live in April, kind of announcing this thing. And then in May, I said, well, I'll demystify this whole thing and show that I have a process that's predictable and repeatable. I'm going to go live every day on Facebook and build a funnel. So I call it Funnel a Day in May. And I just built these marketing funnels live on Facebook. So I just wrapped that up. I did it for 31 days in a row. The plan of that to be to get people interested in paying attention, and I can retarget the people that watch some of those videos to now take me up on an offer. So I think my big opportunity and what I wanted to chat with you about today is how can we, number one, we can kind of brainstorm who this might be for. Is it for, e-commerce owners? Is it for authors and consultants? Is it for maybe authors and consultants with 2 separate groups? Is it for funnel builders? Is it for any other type of person. And then also thinking about what the offer could be, because now I've got lots of videos and lots of funnels that I've made for myself and lots of PDFs and downloads. And so if I narrow it down to people who want to be building marketing funnels, that might be who this thing is for. It's who I thought it was for a month ago. And now I'm not quite sure. It might be. And so I got, informed about this podcast a couple of weeks ago, and thought, well, let's talk to Dean about this before I go and tell my wife I'm about to push the sled over the hill. Before I do that, I'll chat with Dean about, is this the right sled? Is this the right hill? And is this, how can we serve these people and get them a result?
Right.
So kind of who's it for and how do we package it and to get them the best result that I can.
Yeah. Well, part of the thing is that the problem and the good thing and problem about the word funnel is that it's become this ubiquitous, magical unicorn word that everybody thinks, you just need a funnel. I got to get a funnel. And everybody's like, yeah, that's what I need is a funnel. But nobody's really like specifically clear on what that means. They just think like, well, if I get this funnel, then magically money is going to show up in my bank account, right? But it's just, it doesn't, overcome the fact that you've still got to have an offer and you still have to have a result that you're creating for somebody. A funnel is literally just a good word to describe the step-by-step process of turning an invisible prospect into somebody that you're able to do business with and help them get a result, right? So it's still the front end of the before unit that we talk about, in this idea of breaking your business into the before unit, the during unit, and the after unit. So you have to really, everybody who seems to fetishize this funnel, this unicorn funnel, is really, they're very like front end oriented, right? Everybody thinks that that's the shortcut, that they don't really spend any time thinking about the core of it is really the during unit, is what is it that this funnel is going to lead to, right? What is it that you're actually going to output for people, and that's really where it comes down to the best thing. If you can be crystal clear on the outcome, and then it's easy to find the people who want that outcome, right? Then that's your focus then, So let's talk about your specific thing then, and we'll use it as an example to illustrate what you're actually offering here, what other people are going to need. So tell me about, let's say I buy into this, I'm all for it. What is the outcome that I get if I collaborate with you on my 1 hour funnel? I buy into this. I want a funnel. I've got an hour. How much money am I paying you and what am I getting?
Yep. So the stories that I've been hearing from people that they like, to my friend that I said for forever. So there's some possible outcomes like, hey, would you like a predictable system? So every time you have an idea to generate leads or to sell a product, a physical product or a book or a service or anything, wouldn't it be great if you had a system to be able to get that idea in front of people in a way that makes sense for them so they can get, so they can see the thing that you made. And so I think a lot about the idea graveyard. Like there's just all these, I want to write a book and don't know how. A lot of entrepreneurs say, I want to do this thing and I'm not sure how to, the path to get there. And so that's, like you said, it's a step-by-step, hold your hand approach of the ideal sales process to get somebody to take the ultimate action you want and turn a stranger into a referral source or a raving fan or whatever. And that's what, a website can be seen kind of like a brochure, which is important. But if you had a sales company and all your salesperson did, let's say you're a car dealership, your people walked into your lot, which is hard enough anyways to get them onto your lot, and all you did was hand them a brochure, you'd probably fire the salesperson. And that's kind of what a website does, but you want the people that come onto the lot to take a test drive and to kick the tires and to talk to financing, and then out of that, some people will buy the car. So what if we mimic that online, and that thing's called a sales funnel. So that's kind of the hook, like to own your marketing, to fire your expensive marketing agency, to not let this take all weekend or all month or 6 months or whatever, to not let your idea die. So those are the types of things that people tell me why online marketing is frustrating to them, or why it's confusing, or why funnels are confusing, or whatever, is those types of things. Well, the technology's hard, or whatever. So I just want to demystify that whole thing and say, actually, when you have the process that I can teach you via this thing that I made for you, it doesn't have to be hard, and all your ideas can come to life in an hour or less every time with this predictable system. The framework of the right now it's a course, but the framework of like the 1 hour funnel system, I guess, is three things. It's plan it, say it, do it. That's what I came up with. If you have the right plan, you know who you're going after, you know how you're going to serve them at the different levels of ways you want to get paid to serve them. That's module 1, or like pillar 1. Pillar 2 is, well, what do I say on these funnel pages? And so I give them really simple. People get really stuck with, what do I say? I'm not a copywriter, but there's ways to talk to people that is kind of easy and repeatable that you can use to get your idea out there and communicate that. And then the doing is like, click this and drag this and publish it. They might come into it thinking, I want to learn how to build this faster, and that's fine. You will learn that. But actually, it's more about having the right strategy, approach, plan, map, market, and then the right copy and content and invitations and conversions, et cetera, and then the doing. So that's what you would learn. How you would learn that could be an online learning experience. I've already got the whole thing filmed. I'm thinking now it should probably be, at least in the beginning, something with me where we can brainstorm those ideas together via weekly Zoom calls or something like that together. But I'm not exactly sure. Did that answer your question, like how I would get people results? Is that too vague?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure, like, so I'm buying into your promise, right? I'm buying into your premise here that I want a funnel, and I've got an hour, and how much that plus how much money is going to get me my finished funnel. Because the implication of this is that I'm going to start in an hour I've got a funnel, right? Just like where we talk about, like with the 90-minute book, what you get at the outcome of that is a book. And the 90 minutes is we basically do all the stuff that's not talking for you. So we do a 30-minute brainstorm and outline call where we get the title and the content of what you basically want to say. Then from that phone call, my team puts together the outline, comes up with some titles for the chapters, we 6 to 8 things that you're going to talk about or that are going to be the contents of the book. So at the end of the 30 minutes, we've got the title and the outline, and then we schedule a 60-minute interview that's like a podcast type of interview, right? The way we frame it with people is that you're going to be a guest on a podcast or a radio show, and everybody listening is your ideal client, right? And so we're going to go through and interview you through this outline to fit underneath all of these chapter titles that we've got. And then once that 60 minutes is done, you're done. We do every other thing. We get that transcribed, we edit it, we design the cover, just getting your ideas or approval for what you want on the cover. We do all the layout, put it up on CreateSpace, do everything that is not talking. And at the outcome of your 90 minutes, you get a book. So is that sort of what's happening with 1 hour funnel? It sounds like you're teaching me, you're going to teach me the process of how to make a funnel in an hour. And then I just get the feeling like it's going to be more than 1 hour before I actually get my funnel, my first funnel.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Or... Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I'm teaching you the system to be able to predictably create funnels and bring your ideas to life in an hour or less. How I will do that is via, if somebody's like, well, I'm brand new to marketing, well, in an hour, I won't be able to probably get them to that finish line. I think the actual course content, if somebody just jammed through the course, which if they binge watch the whole thing, it's short, like it's 2.5 hours, something like that, of content, of video content. And then they have the workbooks and the templates and the downloads. But yeah, the output is they'll have system to go make funnels in an hour. The way that they learn it, if they ponder their headlines for a day, then it's going to take more than an hour, obviously. But I give them all the templates, worksheets, to just take all of the guesswork out of it and say, like, here's the way you should plan your thing out, and then here's the things you should say on the pages using these templates and prompts. And then whenever it comes down to it, if they use the tool I use to build funnels is ClickFunnels, and so that makes it so if they use ClickFunnels, they click a button, and then now they have my templates that I've built and just change the colors and headlines that you picked in Module 2, if that makes sense. So it starts to become kind of a plug and play Mad Libs approach to helping people own their marketing, and then have the system to then they go, cool, now I am ready to buy a book, or I made this new cheat sheet I want to give away to try to build my email list. I'm going to go back to the 1 hour funnel system that I've learned and use those worksheets again. And now that time it should probably take you, 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever at that point. You have the system in place to know how to do it. And then you can just keep going back to that well to draw on that to get your thing out there.
Okay, perfect. So it's really, so when I look at it, that I'm not sure you've heard me talk about the how versus who things, right? Like where what you're really showing people is how to build a funnel. So they build their skills that are necessary to do it, as opposed to being a who that builds the actual funnels, which is what you were doing in your old life, right? That's what you were doing for people, but it's higher ticket, and you're saying, let me show you what I do so that you could do it yourself. That's really what we're looking at. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So let's talk about how that's actually how that is working now. When we look at the thing that you have to do now is to find the right people for that. You've got to now kind of apply this process to yourself. And so the idea is, how do you get people to raise their hand and, turn those invisible prospects into visible prospects? You mentioned that the registrations were expensive for, you were trying the front end of this. Walk me through what you were doing that way.
Yeah, for that initial angle, because I was and still am so close to it, which it's kind of a cobbler's kids have no shoes situation. Like I'm teaching people this thing and also not totally certain on what I should try next. And so in my head, it was for funnel builders. And so I targeted people who liked funnel building tools and online marketing tools on Facebook with ads, with a video ad and some different image ads saying, I'm hosting this training. And then so people would register. It was, I guess the cost of it is irrelevant. If they had bought it, it wouldn't have been expensive, right? If they turned into customers, they wouldn't have been expensive registrations. They're only expensive because nobody bought the thing. But
how much were the registrations? What would it cost?
They were like it's $15, which is higher than I would see in the industry in other spaces. So part of that, I don't know, totally cold traffic to this stranger guy from this brand new Facebook page, from this brand new product, from this new person trying to make a splash in the marketplace. So but it was around, the whole angle and the hook was around funnels. Like, hey, building funnels, want to learn how to do it faster, like sick of it taking forever, want to just own this. And so that again might be in the world, these invisible prospects. There might be people that go, yes, I am, I have a desk job and I'm building funnels. It takes forever. I want to learn your system to build it faster. But my intuition is, of course, there's those types of people. But then I thought maybe that's not the angle. Like that was all around funnels. Like want to build funnels.
But the offer was register for this webinar.
Oh, correct. Yeah, of the ad. Yeah, I'm doing a free training. It's called the Fast Funnel Framework. I'll show you how to get this thing done that I think you want. I'll show you how to do it faster.
Yeah.
And so, maybe people want to learn how to build funnels faster, but a totally different angle might be, well, I have an idea. I want to take it to the marketplace, or I have a Shopify store, but I don't really know how to optimize when people come into the store. I'd say, well, we can make that a funnel and upsells, cross-sells, et cetera. Or I have an idea for like me, I have an agency, but I want to try to sell a course, or you need a funnel for that thing, or you need to grow a list. So
so what
the angle I hit
getting,
hard was funnels.
And so what you were getting, when you look at it, this is like immediately we could get your cost per lead down by offering a book on the front end as opposed to a webinar. In that the way that people have to respond to a webinar is they have to, first of all, be interested in the information, the topic of the webinar, but then they also have to be willing to sit through a webinar, and they have to be available Tuesday night or whenever the webinar is scheduled, right? And so it's not so much their desire for the information that causes the registrations to be high. It's their unwillingness or unavailability to show up at a particular time for something, right? And I think that this whole idea of the trend is moving away from scheduled, like show up at this time kind of thing. I think that that's going to be a problem long term. We're definitely in every area of our lives progressing towards not having to show up for anything at any time, right? It would almost be, there was a great article in the New York Times a few weeks ago that was titled, might have been a few months ago now, titled "The Tyranny of Convenience." And I'd recommend, that you can just do a Google search on that, "The Tyranny of Convenience." And it's a New York Times article talking about how convenience wins. Convenience is the most underrated power in existence, and it trumps everything. When we look at it now, that when we move towards this, that the idea right now of having to show up on your couch in front of your TV at a particular time to watch a show seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fact that it almost seems, and the word they used in the article was that it almost seems undignified that you have to show up at a particular time to watch something, right? And that's almost like that's the way we're going, that we were an instant society, right? I can get any product I want in the world delivered to my house at the very latest tomorrow morning. And if I live in a city, I could probably get it in an hour.
Yeah.
Right. So this idea of like delay for something is crazy. But if you take the same information and offer it as a book that I can download right now, that makes sense to people, right? Like I've got their attention right now. And as long as I'm compelling that all I want for this particular part of the funnel, all I want for this particular part is to identify people who are leaning in and interested in this particular topic.
Okay.
Right? Like if we look at, I always use like concentric circles as the example here, okay? So you've chosen, whenever you run a Facebook ad or a newspaper ad or a magazine ad or postcards, whatever it is, the outermost ring of the circles is the total audience that you've chosen, right? So you selected, what kind of selects did you do in Facebook to propose come into this webinar app to?
That ad spend was around marketers. I mean, guys like me. I think
yeah,
that's where a lot of us start. This got people like me do things like this, and it was marketers, funnel builders.
Perfect. And so you built a total audience, a potential audience of how many?
It was. I don't remember. You try to do audiences around 1 million, 1 to 2 million on Facebook.
Okay. So you got an audience of 1 to 2 million people, and you ended up then, the people that actually saw your ad are the next ring in. It was some number smaller than 1 million that you were able to actually reach, right? So you showed up in their funnel, or not in their funnel, in their news feed, and you made an impression on some number smaller than 1 million people.
Yep.
And then the next step of this is that you got registrations for your webinar, right? And it costs you $15 to get somebody to that point, right? So there's a big gap between the number of people who saw your ad and who registered for the webinar. Because if you got it for $15, you're probably, that's probably less than a 0.3% response, probably, right?
Right.
Okay. So then you look at this idea of, if you were able to offer the same information, if you had a book called The 1 Hour Funnel, and the subtitle was how to use a fast funnel framework to whatever the title of your webinar was,
right,
as the subtitle of the book, right? And you could click to download it right now, you're going to get way more people. You're probably going to get those for $3 as opposed to $15, right?
Right.
And what you've got now is you've created a subset that you own now, right? That you've got a way to communicate with that group for a longer period of time. Right. If somebody shows up in your news feed, or you show up in somebody's news feed, they see this idea, they see the webinar, they don't want to or can't make it to a webinar right now, and they choose not to opt in, you don't know that they were interested.
Right.
Right. And so I look at it that, it's really about, I call it separating the compelling from the convincing, right? And in order to get somebody to take an action, like come to a webinar, excuse me, you have a uphill kind of battle. And if somebody registers for the webinar and then they don't show up, because you probably only get 30% of them to actually show up on the webinar. What was your show up rate?
Yeah, it was about that, 25-30%.
Yeah. So you look at that, so it's even further now. It's like only that group of people actually got your message.
Right.
And the others are not any further ahead, but they feel like they've gone off the program, right? Like they feel like they missed this, and now subconsciously they have to build up these reasons that, I must not have really wanted that, or I chose to not go to that, right? As opposed to keeping people like incrementally moving forward. And it doesn't feel or register as a rejection.
Yeah.
And that's a strong word, to use, but it's essentially they deep down let you down on a commitment in a way. Right? They registered, they signed here to say, yeah, I want to come to this. And then they didn't show up. And so in order to justify that, we have to subconsciously prop up the reasons for why we didn't.
Right.
And it sounds harsh, but it's really, there's so much going on below the surface that it's really, that's what's making all the decisions, you know? So
Yeah,
if we
makes sense.
can, if, you know, the fact of a book is as a way to get somebody to raise their hand and indicate to you that they are interested in this, that's a win, right? Like now, if you could build your list and then you just built 31 funnels. So you've got, over a period of time, you've got that as an asset right now, right? That you could expand on that, amplify that, show the different things. You probably built funnels for lots of different kinds of companies, right? Lots of different examples of funnels.
Yeah, it was some for me, some for people I work with, some in my network. And then I put an application out and ran some ads to it. I think, hey, I'm doing this. So if you want to pay attention, here's how you can access these videos I'm doing. And if you're stuck, I'll build one for you. Like, click here to apply. If it's a good fit, I'll pick you, out of the audience, and I'll do it for you. So I did that maybe a third of the time. It was for strangers, and they had to fill out an application and then give me. I love it.
There's nothing like that. Like, I mean, that's like that's what More Cheese, Less Whiskers is. That's that model in a way, right? Of that, it's really, it's improv theater in that you're building a funnel for somebody that you don't know anything about. You may or may not have met them before, but I mean, like us, we met at Nick's thing, but we don't really know each other. I know about your business, but that becomes, then you've got this framework that's going to be helpful for people, and hopefully that the funnels that you built were a win for them, and that's great. But it wasn't even so much that you're not setting up the results of the funnel so much as the mechanism of it, that you're showing how much easier it is to build using this process, right? That's really what it's a faster, more convenient way to actually turn the ideas that you already have into the mechanism of a funnel, as opposed to the ideas coming up with the better ideas kind of thing.
Right.
Right. And there's absolutely a role for that, but getting back to it, I look at it that, sometimes I sound like a broken record sometimes in driving people to a book, and, people may think, well, isn't that convenient because he has a company that helps people write books, right? Imagine that. But the truth is that it's the thing that gets the highest response, right? Now, if you can use something that will get people to indicate, this is what we really want, is that we're looking for something that gets people to indicate future interest in something by taking a present action today. And so, another example I use is my girlfriend owns a studio in Winter Haven here that does eyebrows and lashes for women. It's like a beauty studio, and microblading for eyebrows is a big thing. And these women spend like $500 to get their eyebrows microbladed. It's like a permanent thing. And rather than run an ad that tries to, convince people of the process or do it because it's building its own momentum, people who are hip to microblading, they know what it is, and they know they want it, but they may not be ready yet. They may be saving up for it, or they may be thinking about it, or going to do it at some point. And so what we offered on the Facebook ads was a $100 gift card that is the equivalent of 20% off, right? But the difference between 20% off and a $100 gift card is amazing, because in order to redeem, or in order to get the benefit of 20% off ad offer, the only way you can get that is to buy right now, right? And you get 20% off. What you get with a $100 gift card is that you can say, oh, I want to do this. I know I'm going to, and this will be very useful for me at the point that I decide to actually get my eyebrows microbladed. So we run an ad like that and get opt-ins for $1.50. And so it's not necessarily, I mean, I look at it that in most situations where if that makes sense, it's a great thing to do. If it's already a product and somebody knows what it is and that they want it, at some point, being able to give them the opportunity to become a visible prospect. Now we know, because especially if you're doing something with a local business that is a retail business or somewhere, that you've got a limited audience. I mean, we took a radius of 15 miles around Luba's studio here, and all the women from 30 to 60, it's like a limited audience, let's say. But by doing that, been able to build her a list of 1,500 people who are all women who have now a $100 gift card in their hope chest for the day that they're ready to get their eyebrows microbladed. But we're able to engage with those people by email, right? So a lot of the way that the process works is that people download the gift card. We connect with them by email and engage with them in a dialogue. And many of them schedule to have their eyebrows done right now. Others say, I'm not ready yet, or I'm saving up, or I definitely want to do this, or, in the fall, or whatever. And we've got this list so that in the last 6 months, being able to 40 days later send them an email that says, hey, are you still interested in microblading for your eyebrows? And 23 people raise their hand and say, yes, I am. And then at the beginning of May, sending out a message saying, would you like to get your eyebrows done this month? And 16 people saying, yes, I would like to get my eyebrows done this month. And then sending out a couple of weeks ago a message to people saying, eyebrow model. And then saying, hey, Cody, I'm shooting a training video, a training program over the next couple of weeks, and I need a couple of people who would be willing to let me video the process of doing their eyebrows so I can use it in this training program. If you're in town and you've got time over the next couple of weeks, and you'd be willing to let me video it, I can do your eyebrows for $199. And more people then sign up and say, oh yeah, me. And that's like becomes the gift that keeps on giving, as opposed to having to constantly run an ad to reach the people in the general audience with a 20% off offer that they will redeem when they're ready, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, that
look
makes
at,
sense.
right, so I look at a webinar as the 20% off offer. The only way to get the benefit of the webinar is to come right now, right? I either register and come to the webinar and get the benefit there, or I don't register for the webinar and I don't get the benefit. Having a book called the 1 Hour Funnel and raising my hand for that indicates that I'm interested in that. And then you can still invite everybody that downloads the book to come to the webinar. But you don't even call it a webinar, right? It's like, hey, I'm getting together with some people on Thursday to talk about the Fast Funnel Framework. Would you like to join us? That's, that model right there, because now you can engage with people and find out, well, what business are you in? And if they're a person who is in a specific business versus I'm in the funnel building business, if it's somebody who ended up coming that they've got a specific business that they want to build funnels for themselves, and you've built one of the 31 funnels that you built was specifically related to theirs, you say, oh, wow, I just built a funnel for chiropractors.
Yeah.
Right. And now, so that becomes then this way of moving people through that process, you know?
Yeah, I love it. It makes a ton of sense. Well, on the mechanism of the book, are you talking about and I would love to write a book. In fact, I spent quite a bit of time on 90-minute books yesterday. It was a couple of days ago, and it's amazing. And are you talking about like a free, for lack of a better word, a free PDF download that they can just access immediately? And on the thank you page, it's maybe nothing, or it's maybe that invitation to say, hey, I'm getting together with people like you at this time. If you want more.
No, if you look at 90minutebook.com is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? And so we've got two different websites. So we have 90minutebook.com is the landing page that we use for any of the ads or anything that we're running, because the only option at 90minutebook.com is to download a copy of the book, right? It's just the super simple, ultra focused landing page. The same thing that I do for emailmastery.com, right? It's just the book. You're in the right place. What's your name and email address? And that gets the highest response rates of anything that I've ever tried, right? Now, when I look at that, then as soon as they opt in at 90minutebook.com, they immediately go to a page that here's the download right there, and then it's immediately into here's how we can help you get your first book written and published in as little as 90 minutes. And I explain the whole process to them, and it ends with click here to start your book. So we present the whole offer to people right there, because I know that may be the only opportunity that we have with people, you know?
Yeah.
And so I want to get those things.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want to get my main thing out to people. And by the way, it's exactly the same email that we send them. So they're getting the message, right? And then, but now they're in my world, and we have the opportunity to the next day to try and engage people by saying, asking them what business they're in or what's your book about, or, rotating around, see who's willing to engage in the dialogue.
And then So that makes total sense. I'll take a look at that. What I was going to say is I really have enjoyed Frank Kern's podcast. I know you were on the self-milking cow, which I thought was extremely informative and helpful.
Right.
Great episode.
Right.
Great
Funny.
concept. But so going through his funnel, so to speak, of like he has the worksheet on the thank you page. It's now here. Click here to get the worksheet. Click here to subscribe to the podcast. And he says something like every week I screen a master class, which is an on-demand, webinar or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went through that, and it's like, this is a really nice way to communicate. I felt as a, consumer of his content and products and things, I thought this is a really nice, transparent, matter-of-fact way to interact with me to get me the thing I'm looking for. And
right.
you're kind of saying the same thing, via this process, which is
great. Because it's so much more valuable for you to have that list than, wouldn't it be better? You'd be better off instead of getting $15 webinar registrations to get 5 times as many $3 opt-ins, right?
Correct. Yep.
Because they're in the same pool, right? They're a subset of the same group of people.
Right.
And we've just seen this. We've seen this work on so many different levels. Even for newspaper ads or live workshops and newspaper ads, or anybody doing anything like that. The main thing that we want to do is that, especially when you're trying to attract invisible prospects, the thing you want to do more than anything is at least get somebody to be a visible prospect, right? And by that, I mean, now you've got a way that of a specific person rather than one of this 1 million person audience,
Right. What's your opinion on as they flow through this process? And I could say, cool, what business are you in, or what's your funnel going to be about, or what's the main problem you're trying to solve with your funnel via email follow-up sequences, starting those conversations. The easiest way for me, as the guy that made this thing, the 1 hour funnel system, is they just buy it and they go through it and they consume it and get great results.
Sure.
But that might not be what they want. What's your opinion on bundled? I have so many assets I could give as far as templates, trainings, videos, PDFs. There's the core thing that I made, which is the workbook and the videos and the training and the core templates they need to not get overwhelmed. And I can stack a bunch of other stuff on top of that. But something like I call it group coaching, for lack of a better word, but what if once a week I got together with people that were going through the course to do Q&A and live jam sessions and take a look at their funnels and review what they've come up with, review their copy, their headlines. That'd be a different, price tier, but I'm trying to think of, I don't, at this point, I don't care what's convenient for me. I'd love to get people the most amazing results, saying the most amazing things about the system I've come up with. What do you think are attractive ways I can bundle the offer, so to speak?
Well, part of it would be, I would definitely be looking at that using these tools and this methodology that you have to have as an option people who can actually build the funnels for me, so that you give people both options, that they can start out with. If you want to learn how to do it, we've got all the tools and the program there, or excuse me, all the way up to we can literally build the funnel for you.
Right.
So you give people that
part of,
give people that option.
Part of why, yeah, for sure. And it's part of why I did this, thinking, like I mentioned, to tie this all together. Like, I don't have a very big list. I serve a certain type of people, get a certain type of result, and this could be an interesting front end for those people that go through it and go, okay, I got it. I understand how to do this stuff now. And
Yeah.
I'm stuck, and I need some help. And say, great, well, we have that solution. That's my 9 to 5 anyways, you know. And that's not the long game, but the options there. I've got the system and the team and the infrastructure to help people get to the finish line if they don't want to actually go click the buttons and do it themselves.
But there's also, you know, the opportunity. The opportunity to have somebody do the technical bits, right? Like, even there's so much stuff that if somebody really knows what the copy is, what the words are, what they want to say, right? That's one element, and that takes far less time than if for most people fumbling through the technical aspects of putting all the pieces together is often the stumbling block, right? If they just had, it gets back to this whole self-milking cow idea, right? That if the milk of the funnel is what's the offer, what's the words, what are we, what's the architecture of it, right? All of that, but the actual, like, putting all the pieces together, all the keystrokes that it takes to technically set that all up is an obstacle for most people.
So the way I categorize how they can get the result is you can go self-paced on your own, on demand, with these resources I've made for you. You could go with me. Maybe we kick off, the first, Thursday of the month, and we do these cohorts of people going through the course together where they watch the videos and then we go live. Or bucket 3 is I guess I can walk you through that one-on-one, the done for you model, where I do interview you. Basically, I interview you for module 1, interview you for module 2, and get really clear on that, and then my team will go build the thing for you. Is that
right? For you, what you ultimately, because it's not that different than the 90-minute book in a way, right? Except that when you look at it, that if we can get your promise in alignment with the message, like when I say the 90-minute book, what that means is that your time involvement in getting the book done is 1 hour or 90 minutes, right? If you could get to where you could, through a series of interviews with people or whatever it is, that their input to the actual funnel is 1 hour, and by using funnel, a funnel team kind of thing, that puts it all together, there's a really fun way of making all that happen. If you were to list out the step-by-step process, like a timeline of what goes into making a funnel, you would realize which of the things are really only able to be done by the entrepreneur, right? The marketer, the person who's doing that, and which of the things could be done by other people, right? Some of it is what Wyatt Woodsmall calls adaptive challenges, right? Like, the adaptive challenge is, what are you going to say? What are the words going to be here? And if you've got frameworks and templates that get them 50% or 60% or 80% of the way, right? Like, fill in the blank sort of, funnel frameworks like that, sounds like you do, that if you can have somebody go through the thinking process with somebody where they don't have to actually use their opposable thumbs, right? If you could have somebody who could walk through this process and get the adaptive stuff for somebody enough to actually then go and build it, because I bet that it's probably takes 5 times as much time to do the technical stuff or to learn how to do the technical stuff as it does to have somebody extract the meaningful stuff, right? Which is exactly the process that we use for the 90-minute books. I mean, I have a team of 11 people that are specialists in one role of this speedy process of creating a book, you know? It's funny because once you figure out what the process is, like our team, our inspiration for really streamlining and building the timeline to get the books done was on YouTube. There's a video that compares Formula One pit stops from 1950s to 2013. And in the 1950s pit stop, they show the car coming in and they show the guy like hammering the tires off and changing the tires, and they're filling it up with gas and washing the windshield and, you know, doing all these things. And it takes, you know, 67 seconds for the pit stop. And then they fast forward to 2013 and the car pulls up, and in 2.9 seconds, 4 tires changed, filled with gas, up, down, off it goes. And that process, that's what we were looking for the 90-minute book. How do you optimize the process of building a funnel like that so that people can be trained in or fill specific roles so that you can deliver to somebody for, as a push button, the output of a funnel that took them an hour thinking about this and talking about it is going to be better spent for them than 5 hours of frustration trying to figure out how to get this 1 hour funnel done.
That's breakthrough I think I was hoping for. Something like that. I wasn't even thinking that. Like that everything you just said is true, number one. Like it as easy as it is for us with whatever our expertise is, we get caught up in our techno babble of our thing and how good we are at it and how, oh, it's easy, you just do this. And for the other people that aren't us, they're like, actually, it's incredibly difficult. Everything you just said, you've honed over the last 9 years or whatever. So it's not easy.
Right.
And so if I can take all that away as either as the main offer or as one of the service packages, like, hey, want to just do this over literally an hour, like where we just interview you and you answer some questions ahead of time, come to the table prepared. I extract what I need from your brain, and then, I don't know, 2 weeks later, voila, your thing is live and we can drive traffic to it. That would be different than what I'm thinking right now, which is really interesting.
Right. And that's part of the thing, right? Like that's a life lesson over 30 years or let's say 25 years of training people how to do stuff. Like I went through that same thing of that, you know, you figure out how to do something and then you want to just show people and say, look, I figured out how to do this. Look how easy this is. But they still have to learn, and nobody has time or inclination to want to learn stuff. But everybody, we're definitely, you can never err on the side of making something too convenient.
Yeah.
That's the leading edge, you know? And the truth is that you don't have, like, I don't fill any single role in the 90-minute book, right? It's a completely separate, self-managing team that runs that business, but it's my business and it's my idea and my, under my umbrella, but I'm not involved in any of the process. I'm a guest on they do a podcast that I come on sometimes. I'm a cheerleader. I'm a rainmaker, but the whole thing is self-sustaining, right? And I think that's where, if you could get it to that, where it's your process, your things, and they may, if you get the right team around you, they may innovate and improve the process that you have, you know?
Right. So I've got that's awesome. I've got one last question.
Okay.
In your
Boy, time flies
right now, it's been amazing. Yeah, it really does. So I have the thing I said a few minutes ago. Like I can still send the people a course. I can like show them how to do it. I can do it with them, or I can totally do it for them. What you and I just kind of jammed on for a minute was me doing it for them, or me having the system to just totally do it for them, which is now back to the agency side, but in a more predictable, systemized, automated fashion that doesn't need as much of my time. My question is, does the course play a role? Does it add any value to say, hey, if you buy this 1 hour funnel book in a box, 90-minute book type thing, I will, you know, you can access the lifetime access to the course, you know, too, if you have a team or want to see how this whole thing works. Or is that, in what way does that serve, if any? You know, I won't ask for the time, not how the watch was made. And, you know, I don't know if I'm showing people how to watch it. They're like, I don't really care about that.
Well, experiment. Some people may want to, know, you know, I mean, there are, you know, we look at it that I look at it that, you know, I just look at time to the outcome, you know, and as an advocate for the end user, I could show people how to write books and create a course on that, on how to do a 90-minute book. But it's almost like it would take, it'd be, you know, almost as expensive to show somebody how to do it than it is to actually just do it for them, you know?
Right.
Especially when you have a single use output that's coming from it, you know? Whereas, because I look at both sides of this, right? Like I have a program called Email Mastery, and that is an ongoing, like building a community of people where I'm showing how to write emails that convert, right? How to use conversational conversion, and teaching all of my frameworks for emails, that skill you're going to be able to apply to all kinds of different things, you know? And so there's that's a valuable skill to know versus having an email agency, you know, where we'll just write emails for you.
Right.
Because that's a skill that you're going to use again and again, you know. But having a book, it's an execution thing, you know. So it's cheaper to just have us do that, and it's cheaper for us to offer that as a done for you. And we've got the economies of, I've already got 11 people standing by, right? For rather than showing you how to do it, and then you have to go on, because you know sometimes there are people who want to do things on their own. They love to figure out how to do stuff, right? And it's almost like this challenge for them to figure out, well, how can I do this book on my own for less than $1,800, right? And so I could go to Fiverr and get a thing. I could find somebody to interview me. I could find somebody to get the transcript, and I could edit it myself. I could do all these things. And if you take all the time involved in that and put any amount of value on your time, it's like disproportionately, ridiculously more expensive, you know?
Right. Got it. Well, yeah, this give me time to think about, and I need a book, it sounds like.
And then you need a funnel for your book. That's the thing.
I need a funnel for my book. I've built lots of book funnels, so that would be easy. I'll go to the well on that one too. I've got that.
But the great thing is, you know, I think that if you just had that book, that right away, you know, you would see a difference in the number of leads that you generate. Because I look at that's the only purpose of the ad, is to turn an invisible prospect into a visible prospect. And I look at the webinar as a lead conversion process more than a lead generation process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it.
Anything else?
Well, Cody, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much, man. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Keep me posted because I'm very interested in how this all plays out.
Definitely. I know our paths will cross in the future, I'm sure, and I will definitely keep you posted. I'm really excited for, what's coming here. It's going to be great. Thank you again.
Thanks, Cody. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
And there we have it. Boy, what a great conversation, because it really illustrates a lot of the things that we talk about psychologically. Here's more evidence that using a webinar as a lead generator is a expensive lead generation proposition, $15 per registration, which is not uncommon, right? And when you look at it, that using something that gets people to respond right now doesn't have to be a book. We mentioned how using a gift card or using something that I can get right now as a way of starting this process, that we immediately get 3 to 5 times more leads than offering a seminar or a webinar, which gives you more opportunity to engage in dialogue with people. So that's really what we're looking for, is how can we maximize the return on what we're doing on the front end, rather than just focus on what's going to, optimize the first 30 days here. Let's look at building a foundation for the next 30 months. That's really what's the most valuable thing that we can do here. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Now, of course, it sounds like the only solution to everything is to have a book, and that it's not. I don't want it to come off like that a book is the only thing. It happens that a book is the best thing that I have discovered for lead generation like that. And I have a whole team of people standing by to help you create a book if that's what you want to do at 90minutebook.com. And it's a good idea for you to go through and see how that process works if you're thinking about putting together a book. The whole purpose of using something that gets people to raise their hand in the beginning is the process of being able to communicate by email with them as soon as they do that. So it gives us more people that we can engage in a dialogue with. And that's the foundation of the process that we talk about at emailmastery.com, which is to compel, which is get people to raise their hand, convince, which is educate and motivate, and collaborate, which is now to offer to help them get the result that they're really looking to do. So there's 2 things for you to look into: 90minutebook.com, emailmastery.com, and you get to see 2 winning funnels in action just by going through that process. And I don't charge any extra for you to see that winning funnel in working order. It's all there for you to take advantage of. If you want to be a guest on More Cheese, Less Whiskers, I'd love to hatch some evil schemes with you. You can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com. You can download a copy of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book. And if you click on the Be a Guest link, that will let me know that you'd like to come on the show, and we can hatch some evil schemes for you. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time.